Hello, everyone. Brett the Comic Novice here. And for me personally, having been a part of the comic book collecting and reading club for at least the past 3 years, one of the things that I've found the hardest part about it is always finding a good starting point for reading, especially superheroes from the big two. You have reissues, relaunches, as, DC is going to be doing for Dawn of DC for Wonder Woman coming up in September, as well as Flash. You also have Marvel that does so many number one reboots that you lose track of how many times they relaunch a certain character or comic. However, as I have noticed from some of the comments that I've gotten, and I do appreciate them, that I am kind of in the dark when it comes to certain storylines and certain characters and villains. To me, again, I go in blind as a brand new reader would be, hoping that the comic book writer will be able to fill in some of the gaps for me, so I don't have to either jump on a Wikipedia page or again start in 1939 issue number 1 or 1963 issue number 1. And for me, I'm always trying to find that next comic that is brand new, that can bring me some joy and happiness, and also not having to start off at issue number 1. And at least for me personally, I think I've found it in this story, The Void Rivals by Robert Kirkman, who has written a lot of different kinds of comics throughout his comic book writing career. I have watched many YouTube channels and they recommend some of his things. However, it's always issue 30 or issue 100 whenever when I started getting into certain things, or, you have to pick up this trade is also not in stock. So for me personally, Void Rivals, not only is it good, but I feel as though that there's a great message inside the storyline. You have two different races who are warring against each other. And both races are represented by a different color. Interesting thing, especially when you pull back the layers about, modern politics. You have these cultures that they have a belief about one another, how there's an honor system, how, exactly how the other one's supposed to look, how hideous they are. I find that this is such a compelling and interesting story about these two characters and two societies that are at odds, but have actually more in common than they actually believe they do, and especially their leaders who possibly see a continual war a good thing, one dominating the other, regardless of the casualties of life. I like that this is also a, jumping on point for the Energon universe, which is an issue number 1 introduced us to, I believe, Jetfire, who is a Transformer, which, again, they're going to relaunch the Transformers G.I. Joe series into a mix of comics. And so for me personally, I find as a brand new comic reader that this is a perfect jumping on point for everybody who is a novice, everybody who's looking for that next title that will help them start on a blank slate. And to me, I am so thrilled by this. I think that the writing so far has been great. I cannot wait to, actually be a part of this world. And I think that is what's kind of, I'm missing in both DC and Marvel is these worlds have been existing for so long. There's so much to get caught up on, so many brand new omnibuses, trade paperbacks of this and this. And again, of course, for me personally, I believe some of the writing styles in the early days of comic is just hard for me to dive into and really, it's not that I don't find enjoyment. I just think it's a different type of writing, different type of style. And it is just something that is just a harder task and kind of maybe less enjoyable. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe there's some great stories. I'm not saying that they're all hard, but I do think that there is a learning curve to not only reading comics, but also reading comics from the Golden Age, Silver Age. Because I think, this modern, and I believe I've been reading a lot of Bronze Age lately. I believe that is probably a little bit easier for me to digest. I don't know. What do you think about this? The whole the whole Void Rivals situation, the Energon universe, the classic comics that, maybe I'm, poo-pooing way too early. But again, it's just hard for me. Novice reader, this is who I am. I hope you've enjoyed the video so far. Like, subscribe, whatever. Comment down below. I do appreciate reading them. Until next time, I will see you maybe in the dollar section, but probably checking out some more things that I can actually, find and call my own and find joy and happiness, which again should be what reading comics is all about. Again, thanks for listening and watching. Until next time, I will see you in the dollar section. Bye.